Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the medical school?
You go straight ahead, and you make a left over the bridge.
That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey?
Austria.
Austria? Well then, good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Uh-oh. What? What's the matter?
You spilled the salt. That's what's the matter. Quick, toss some salt over your right shoulder.
What the hell?
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Guys!
Skis, huh?
That's right.
They're yours?
Uh-huh.
Both of them?
Yeah.
What's her last name? I'll look it up.
Starts with an S. So swimmy, slippy, slappy, Swanson?
Maybe it's on the briefcase. Look on the...
Oh yeah, it's right here. Samsonite. I was way off.
What happened, Harry? Some little filly break your heart? No, it was a girl. Breda Belcher.
I thought we were going to be together forever.
She give you any reason?
Yeah, I called her up. She gave me a bunch of crap about me not listening to her enough or something. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
That was good.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue.
My dogs were supposed to be here 40 minutes ago. I bathed them and I clipped them myself. And I stand by my performance.
Deep in my heart, I adore ya. Can't get food for that kid. Good God.
Go look at the fun bags on that hose hound.
I'd like to eat her liver with some Farber beans and a nice bottle of Chianti.
Down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1994 comedy classic, Dumb and Dumber, starring Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels. It's an all-star cast. Lauren Holly's in there, if you remember her. I don't know. Maybe not. For those who join us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, we discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. Go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. Also go to our page on YouTube, KD9575. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Don't forget to go to Twitter and follow us there at the B Movie Club. Don't forget to spread the word, won't you? If you do these things, you get the latest updates whenever I post a new video. Anything interesting that's going on in the world of movies today, that's what I'm here for. I'm your one-stop shop, your resource, your reference material, if you will. Okay? This week, Dumb and Dumber. In Providence, Rhode Island, we got these two buddies, Harry and Lloyd, who are a little slow, maybe more than a little. Lloyd, at this point, is a limo driver, and his buddy Harry works for kind of a dog groomer's. There's hilarious things that happen there. I'm not going to get into all of it. But Lloyd is driving a woman to the airport, and he noticed her leave her briefcase in the middle of the terminal and walk away from it. He doesn't realize that this is her drop for ransom. Her husband's been kidnapped. She's dropped off money for the kidnappers to take so they'll release her husband. Lloyd sees this from across the crowded area. He's immediately smitten with her. He's in love with her. Her name is Mary. Sees her leaving the bag and is like, I gotta get the bag. I can be her knight in shining armor. I can save the day. So he swoops in there, takes the briefcase, and goes off with it. Harry and Lloyd both get fired from their jobs due to not being very good at their jobs. Let's just say that. Okay? So they're back at their house, unemployed yet again. They don't have money to pay their bills. What are they going to do? But now they've got this briefcase. They're like, you know what? My dream is we can drive from Providence, Rhode Island to Aspen, Colorado, where I know Mary was flying to. I'll deliver the briefcase. I'll be the big hero. She'll fall into my arms. Good things will happen. That's his plan anyway, right? Meanwhile, the evil kidnappers are knocking on the door. They've followed these guys. They're trying to get at them. Harry and Lloyd think that the people pounding on the door, it's the utilities person coming to say, hey, why haven't you paid your gas bill? See, the hilarity never ceases. So they decide, they get into their crazy car. Harry drives this big, kind of an SUV van sort of thing that he spent his life savings making it look like it's a giant dog, because again, he's a dog groomer. Okay, good times. So they're driving, getting in hilarious mishaps along the way. The gangsters are after them. Eventually, the FBI is on their case. They finally get to Aspen with barely a nickel to their name when they get into a fight with each other because they're just getting on each other's nerves. And the briefcase flies open and they realize it's full of money. So now it's like, hey, we'll take just a little bit of money so that we're not starving and sleeping in the snow-covered park, and we'll pay them back every cent we borrow. Of course, smash cut to now they're in the penthouse, driving a Lamborghini, wearing crazy fancy clothes. I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give it all away to you. There's some twists and turns along the way. I saw this movie in the theater back in '94. Have to say, not a big fan initially, okay? Didn't really care for it. It is, it's the adventures of two idiots, essentially. And a lot of times it wasn't so clever as just kind of gross and profane. It's really, for me, I know some people went and saw it and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. It took me a little while to appreciate it, like on home video, like, okay, I'll just pop it in. I'll watch it on basic cable. Oh, now I can see the comedy. When you're spending full freight on Dumb and Dumber, in my opinion, little light in the clever department for a comedy. You know what I'm saying? Definitely had. I felt like it had laughs, but a lot of times it was just so gross that I was just like, ugh. So that's a bad sound. This was actually, Jim Carrey set a record when he started this for a number of reasons. He had already been in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective earlier this year. He'd already been in The Mask earlier this year. So he has the honor of being the first and, up to my knowledge, the only actor whose first 3 movies all went #1 in the box office right after another. Boom, boom, boom. So when the Farrelly brothers, who were the writers and directors of this movie, this was actually their first big thing. They had written some stuff like on Seinfeld and some things like that. So they'd written this, wanted to direct it, and they were pursuing Jim Carrey because they'd seen him on In Living Color and things like that. And their initial offer was $700,000 to star in this. He's like, sounds good. Then Ace Ventura becomes a huge hit, and now he actually winds up getting $7 million to star in this movie, which turned out to be almost half the budget of the entire film. Originally, they thought, here's a great pair. How about Nicolas Cage and Gary Oldman? They were originally, they wanted them to be the original Harry and Lloyd. For whatever reason, I call it crazy, Nick Cage and Gary Oldman both decided to pass. Eventually, they pursued Steve Martin and Martin Short to be in this movie. They also passed. Finally, Jim Carrey, $7 million later, he's the guy. They weren't sure who to pair him up with. Jim Carrey actually recommended Jeff Daniels to be in this. Not Jeff Goldblum. That would be a different movie. Jeff Daniels to be in this. Jeff Daniels had been in movies for quite a while at this point. He starred in some things. Earlier this year, he was actually in Speed, playing a slightly different role. The filmmakers were not overly enthusiastic, but they were trying to kiss Jim Carrey's butt. So they're like, okay, you want us to get him? Fine, we'll call up Jeff Daniels, give him a total low-ball offer, and he'll say, forget it, I'm out. And then we can say, hey, we tried. So they called up Jeff Daniels and said, hey, we want you to be in this movie. How does $50,000 grab you? Jeff Daniels said, sounds good, I'm there. No, didn't reject it, didn't say, let me think about it, didn't try to renegotiate. He said, sure, sounds good. So they had their cast at that stage of the game. Jim Carrey's, got his crazy bowl cut in this thing going on there. He also had a chipped tooth. He actually had already had that chipped tooth, and he'd gotten it repaired years earlier, like a childhood accident or something along those lines. And he went to the dentist, had him pop the cap off for his crazy teeth. And for Harry's crazy hair, they told him, look, wash your hair every day, but don't use conditioner, don't blow dry it, don't even brush it. And that's how they got his crazy, weird lion's mane of stuff going on there. Good times had by all. Now, there's a lot of lines in this that Jim Carrey just straight improvised. That became kind of iconic for this movie. For example, there's a scene where they're driving with the kidnapper in the car, unbeknownst to them. And he says, do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? That was all improvised. And you can tell, they say, if you look at Jeff Daniels, you can see his face is kind of like, what the hell is going on? What is he about to do? Even he doesn't know. It's all improvisation. Almost to the point where Jim Carrey is kind of considered an uncredited writer for this movie because he improv'd so much of the comedy, if you will. So, what else can I tell you about this movie? Now, Mary's played by Lauren Holly, who's kind of relatively unknown at this point. She'd been in a few things. Went on to be in other movies after this. This is where her and Jim Carrey first met. Now, she was offered a role in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which she turned it down, and then later said, okay, I'll do the next one. I'll be in Dumb and Dumber. And they met, and they had a romance that lasted several years. I believe, this became kind of, a big kind of tabloid thing, their relationship. So, what are you going to do? Good times. Basically, up to this point, there'd been kind of a track record of actresses who starred opposite Jim Carrey went on to become kind of big stars themselves. Courtney Cox in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, Cameron Diaz in The Mask, and Lauren Holly was hoping. And it actually did work out for her. It didn't extend past this movie. There were plenty of other actresses after that. Very sad. During the filming of this movie, Jim Carrey actually stayed at the famed hotel, the Stanley Hotel, which is where The Shining, the original Shining, was filmed and took place. And he actually requested the scary room where the ghost stuff happened in the movie. He stayed there one night, ran out of the hotel screaming, and to this day will not tell what happened in that room. What can I say? See? It's scary. Just don't stay there, I guess is the moral of the story. Just don't do it. No, it's not fun at all. So, good times. Jim Carrey, of course, went on to bigger and better things, went on to, a huge run of movies. He actually acted in another Farrelly Brothers movie several years later. He was in Me, Myself, and Irene. Farrelly Brothers had a run of hits after this. Like I said, Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, Kingpins, which I just did a few weeks ago. I mean, great stuff. Now again, in my opinion, Dumb and Dumber is funny for its goofiness. There's plenty of scenes where you're just like, that's just ridiculous. And the humor's in that, okay? There are a lot of scenes you're like, that is just revolting. That is just disgusting. Not feeling it, not having it. But it just depends on personal taste, okay? It depends on your personal feelings on scatological humor. So, c'est la vie. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it if you so desire. It currently has a 64% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you go. It spawned a cartoon series that lasted about a season. There was and two sequels. One is actually a prequel. A few years later, it came out Dumb and Dumberer, which was kind of the prequel, okay? Had none of the original actors, none of the original directors, writers, anything. It was just kind of a blatant attempt to try to cash in on the success of the first one. Didn't do very well. More recently, Dumb and Dumber 2, spelled T-O, was released with the original creative team. And it didn't get very good reviews. It's very sad. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Like I said, it's, the original is still streaming instantly on Netflix. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, or questions, and I may talk about it on the show. Also, any movie requests, any movie suggestions. And just, you know, if there's anything you want to get off your chest, any personal thoughts and feelings, please. Don't hesitate, okay? Next week, I'm moving away from the comedy genre to the thriller, starring Dustin Hoffman and Sir Laurence Olivier, Marathon Man. There's escaped Nazi war criminals, there's torture, there's an evil dentist, all sorts of good stuff. One of my favorite films. Also streaming instantly on Netflix. So check it out and let me know what you think, okay? As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Just when I thought you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you pull something like this. And totally redeem yourself! Good times had by all. Thank you for joining us next week. The Marathon Man. Don't forget to spread the word. Be well.